Hello, it's December 2025, and I'm doing a book review on my favorite book of the year, which is called Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. It was published in, I want to say it was published in 2025. Let's take a look. Yeah, 2025. And it was so good. I bought, this is the UK edition, and I also originally found it at the bookstore, the US edition, hardcover. And let's take a look. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. So I read this one, and then I bought the UK edition later online because I wanted to mark it up as a study. Because I'm a writer, I do like to study beautiful language that inspires me. So I was going to kind of mark it up. I haven't had the heart to do that yet, but in any case, I'm going to tell you why I call it a 5-star read. I did write a Substack review of this book if you want to read it. I will leave the link in the description. But basically, this novel begins with a woman on her period, the very first scene, which I love. I'm hooked, okay? Because I've reflected before in my own mind why menstruation is not mentioned more in novels about women. It's like a part of our life. But the first scene kind of is where the woman confronts a moment that both mars and elevates womanhood. You know, it's difficult, but it's also elegant. And she starts the story with, it begins with blood, you know. So, yeah, there we go. First line, it starts with blood. So the protagonist, her matter-of-fact dispensation of the mess and reflection on its nuisance is quickly replaced by a brief scare in the dark. So it's kind of a jump scare, and it's followed up by something far more scary than a ghost in the night. To be a woman is a horror I can little comprehend, she says. I like this book because the author has a way with words. It instantly captured me in her snare. She uses language in a way that I find refreshing, and some people might find it off-putting, but I really liked it. Early in the novel, you get the sense that the protagonist, Lenore, and her husband are sharing a deep, dark secret that could change everything. And by the time I learned the secret, my jaw was on the floor. And basically the midpoint reveal is excellent. Juicy. I highly recommend you stick with it. For me, that wasn't difficult because the language is beautiful. Including like her metaphor, you know, it's a gothic horror. So, you know, the metaphor of the crumbling home in the moor. The characters are amazing. We have, of course, Lenore, the protagonist, the mysterious stranger Carmilla, which is a very direct reference to Carmilla, who's the metaphor for the transgressive, petulant voice in a woman's head that pouts when you ignore her calls for self-satisfaction, agency, and respect for oneself. We have Lenore's friend in quotations, right? Her name is Cora, and she's kind of like the metaphor for the impossible female standard, where if you meet those standards, you've created in yourself an easy victim for the patriarchy, you know, for men to take advantage of you. I like this cover quite a bit, this UK edition. I think it's UK. Let's take a look. Manila Press. Yes, UK edition. Let's see how it looks like. This is... Oh, there's a map in here. Well, that's interesting. There was no map in the other one. And then, yep, it starts with blood. Let's see, what is the last line? Maybe that's not a good thing to reveal here, but does it end with blood too? Anyway, it does not end with blood. Well, it does. The climax is... I mean, if the only criticism I have is for the climax. I feel like it could have been explored a little bit more. It could have been a little longer. It kind of came and went quickly. But it is satisfactory. I felt very satisfied. And while you may be very frustrated with Lenore at the beginning and middle of the novel, by the end you are in love with her. She's quite stubborn to, maintain her marriage and all that, but by the time things transgress, she becomes hungry for desire. She becomes hungry to achieve happiness. She becomes hungry for her own self-satisfaction. And call it selfish if you will, but she gave up so much for her husband, who then, mistreated her. So Carmilla is kind of the catalyst for this whole journey. And Hungerstone refers to when there was a drought of some kind in a town, they would mark the level on a rock, like on a stone, where if the water went below that level, you knew that there was a drought coming and that people would go hungry. So it's kind of like the literal mark, like the literal hunger mark on that stone that would tell you, okay, you guys are in for a lot of trouble. People are going to go hungry now because of the drought. In any case, this beautiful prose winds a vampire tale where instead of binding the victim to the doom of hunger for blood, the victim here is instead liberated from denying their own hunger for just about everything. The reclamation of one's own desires and agency is a story only some women get the luxury to live. So for most of us, the story will prove cathartic. It did for me anyway. And Donne addresses the uncomfortable truth that the frailest of men among us see women who dare to desire as monsters. Because what is a monster but a creature of agency? That's a line from the book. Favorite book of the year? Honorable mention is The Possession of Alba Diaz. Highly recommend. It's got forbidden romance, possession, gothic setting. Wonderful, wonderful book. I also bought a second copy of this to mark it up to study as an artist myself, learning from the craft of others. Let me know if you read either of these and what you think. And if you have any recommendations based off of what I loved, I'd love to hear them.